Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Oh shit, oh shit, Kill the Wu-Tang. Wait, I take that back. Never kill Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang will never die because Wu-Tang is for the children. Wu-Tang will never die because Wu-Tang is for the children. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. This is another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. I'm your host, Old Heart, aka Jared, aka Homie Don't Give a Fuck. Okay, seriously. Don't give a fuck. I'm here, trying to ripen up my coconut as best I can, like I do every day I record a podcast. Shout outs to Mariah and Casey. Ripen up that coconut. I'm trying to, synthesize some information, maybe make sense of stuff rattling around my brain, trying to do something with my thoughts that I haven't done, or something with my brain that I haven't done the day before. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't, because you probably haven't listened to this podcast before. If you haven't, then oops, sorry you're here. If you have, well, welcome back. Shoutouts to all the listeners out there. So, today, bows, fake claps. One of these days, that a live studio audience will go. But today, I wanted to talk about something that's, it directly affects my life. And I'm always curious about how many people have, been a part of it. I just kind of wanted to touch on the service industry. That's right. So the service industry is one hell of a fucking thing, people. Okay, so if you've ever worked in a customer service job, if you ever worked in a hospitality job, as a waitress, as a host, as a barista, as a, whatever the fuck in the hospitality business, there's a lot of fucking burden that comes with that. And that burden is specifically being nice to people who are dicks to you. And that is that's one of them, but that's mostly the big one. That is essentially the gravity of that fucking job. That job, being in a hospitality job, you have to be willing to eat people's shit. And I don't mean that I mean that as bad as it sounds, but I mean that in a way where it's you have to not mind people being assholes, because they don't know they're ignorant. They don't know any better. But, my opinions aside on that in general, I want to talk about this article I found on Daily Coffee News. If you're a barista, if you work in the coffee industry, you should be familiar, or you should make yourself familiar with this website, dailycoffeenews.com. They have really great articles about the industry, about the work in retail, the work in roasting, the work just in globally, the work at the farming level, all over. They do great work for the industry. But there's this article a while ago that I saved from October that was titled "Forced Smiles," so it immediately caught my attention, and I just really quick want to read this because I thought it was kind of a good description of aspects of a barista's job that you might not think about as a regular person. The article starts saying, being a barista can be one of the most challenging jobs in the hospitality industry. It often requires waking up hours before sunrise, dealing with finicky, complex, and messy equipment, and using motor skills and hand-eye coordination to freshly prepare hot beverages and food to exacting standards in high-volume environments. And that is on top of being pleasant to customers. That is on top of dropping your conversation, turning around, and helping your customers. That is there's a whole there's all of that, drink making and maintaining of the cafe and whatnot that people see. But there's also what they don't see, and that's the forced fucking smile. And that is a very real thing. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing for all of us to admit that that fucking happens, but it is a very real thing. Go into any restaurant, go into any cafe, go into any place where you are making somebody serve you. Which isn't like you making them do it. It's part of their business, and I'll get to that later. But you go in and you're served something. You're welcomed in an environment, and chances are the person helping you doesn't want to be smiling at you. And I say that with all sincerity, because they might have shit going on in their life. They might be sick and afraid to call out of work because they, one, need the hours, and two, they don't want to look weak in front of their boss so they don't get fired. That shit's real in a work environment, especially in a work environment that like a hospitality job where you're deemed dispensable. Like that is what's so demeaning on top of everything, is that everybody looks at you and says, I can do your job, especially as a barista. Like some people really genuinely appreciate the craft and the trail of coffee from grower to roaster to where it ends up in your cup and whatnot. But some people, they look at you and I literally had a guy once tell me at a job. Shout outs to this asshole Jim that I'm about to tell a story to somewhere in Olympia. Shout outs to anybody listening out there. Shout outs to all of you. You're fucking great. Shout outs to my homies Uncaged, Mooner6, my love. Shout outs to all of my wood, Castle Roll, my co-host on Old Heart Radio. Shout outs to Mariah, Casey. Shout outs to Avi. Shout outs to any homies, big and small. All homies, big and small. So, forced smiles. So I had this guy tell me that he never, he acted like I had never noticed that he has never tipped me in my life, but he came in to my cafe every single day and never tipped once. No matter how pleasant you were to him, no matter how curt you were, no matter how efficient you were, he never tipped. And then one day he looked me square in the eyes and goes, I never tip because I really think I could just brew a cup of coffee myself. And then he just took his giant mug, his 32 ounce Starbucks mug full of black drip coffee that I just poured for him, and walked off. And it dawned on me, this asshole doesn't understand that he's still getting a service. If he could brew that cup of coffee, then why the fuck doesn't he just brew that cup of coffee? Because he's too damn lazy. He's too fucking stupid. He's too whatever. So he comes in here, wants to be smiled at and told good morning by somebody. Maybe he's just so lonely that's what he needs. But either way, a lot of people like him think that they can do your job. And I really want to see somebody, especially a fucking boomer, hop behind a barista bar and learn how to craft a goddamn latte to perfection, and two, go up to a register and smile at every asshole that walks up and with how differently they are, how wrong their order is, how stupid their questions are, everything, and tell me that they're gonna be happy-go-lucky and want to smile all fucking day, knowing that their back's aching, knowing that their life is falling apart at home, or their puppy's at home waiting to be let out and they're stuck at work for 8 hours, whatever the fuck their life is. So very crazy. So back to that article though, because I thought it was a really great and interesting point. And it was broken down into a couple of different sections. One I wanted to focus on is the customer is not always right. And I know that part of being in a service job, you have to willingly be subservient. You have to willingly let people walk all over you and go out of your way to be nice and provide whatever you can to make them happy and enjoy their experience. One, because that's what your business thrives on, and two, that's exactly part of your fucking job. And if you don't understand that that's part of your job, being hired to be nice to people, to talk to people decently, to help them out with their fucking needs while they're in your restaurant, then you're not doing your job if you don't understand all that. And that's just a straight up fact. You have to, and it's not, the coffee industry is a great example because the coffee industry got a really bad reputation for being snobby really early on. Thanks, third wave. But it, like, you have, like, so people at a coffee shop just, like, sometimes they just have the worst fucking attitudes. And it's just the most bizarre thing because, like, honestly, you're the face of a company. You're the first thing some people see, the first human some people see at the beginning of a day. And you have to just, like, accept that and be pleasant. And it's hard to stomach sometimes, but, like, if you don't realize that's part of your job, like, you're fucked from the get-go. Is it like a pleasant part of the job? No. Having to fake your way through conversations and fake your way through like smiles and you have to grit your teeth through, like, oh, you wanted white chocolate in there at the last minute and now I have to dump your entire 20-ounce drink and steam another 20 ounces and remake you a whole new fucking drink. You got it. All right, thanks for coming in. It's crazy, but it's part of the fucking job. And, like, I used to be a caregiver. All right, I used to be a caregiver, and that was like a different level of taking care of people. Working in a hospitality job, you are taking care of people on a completely different level. You're still taking care of their needs, and that's something to respect. Like, people want to say that they can do your job. People want to say that they could be a waiter or waitress or whatever the fuck. But I goddamn guarantee that nobody can just walk onto that job, and take the physical labor toll, and two, the emotional toll that these jobs take. Anyway, back to this article. The customer's not always right. It says there are many ways in which business owners can avoid worsening this burden on baristas while trying to meet that standard of the customer is always right, which just isn't true. You have to accept the fact that sometimes a customer is wrong, and trust your employees and trust your place of business. But you have to be really dicey with those decisions. And it sucks because, again, like, part of the hospitality and service industry is service. So I want everybody to just think about maybe next time, like, when they're going to a restaurant, when they're going to a cafe, when they're going to any place that they're being helped and served and taken care of, like, genuinely, like, are those people having decent days? Are those people's lives all right? Don't be an asshole to them and try to make their lives worse, because they're just trying to get through their day just like you. Either way, go out there and use your brain for good. I'll go out there and continue my coffee job because, why? Podcasting doesn't pay for shit. And two, I love coffee. I love helping people. It's my own way of being nice to people, I guess. Either way, like I said, go out there, use your brain for good, ripen up that coconut as best you can, and what do they say? Keep your stick on the ice.